All right, so today I'm excited. I can't even hide it. I'm super excited. We finally get to set up the Raspberry Pi 5. We're going to be unboxing it. We're going to set it up. We're going to be picking our distro, installing it. We're going to do a lot of cool things up in this video. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, I highly recommend you go back and watch setting up Ubuntu 24.04 on a virtual machine. I'll link it up in the description below for you. But just understand everything in this video that I talk about will be linked up below. Make it super easy for you to find the components that you need if you want to build out the same build as me. With that being said, let's get to it. All right, so here we are at raspberrypi.com. Now, this is their website. You can come over here, you can learn all about it, all that cool stuff, and look at different projects they're using. But I want to click on software, which is right here. Now, up under software, you're going to see it says Raspberry Pi OS. This is what we need right here. You're going to install the imager. I'm on a Mac, so I would install the Mac version. If you're on a Windows, install Windows. If you're on Ubuntu, install Ubuntu. And you can also do it from the command line as well. So with that being said, once you install this, it's time for us to move on to our very first part. So I'm going to close out of this because I actually already have it installed. As you can see, this is it right here. And what I want to do is I want to click on the type of device I have. I have the Raspberry Pi 5. I want to choose my operating system. Now, I could choose Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit, which is what I'm going to do for this tutorial. I'm not going to use Ubuntu. Like, you can look, I'm super excited, but let me slow down. So you can do whatever you want. So you have game emulators right here. If you want to, you have other preferred ones like Kali Linux for hacking, Home Assistant. If you want to do that, you have other ones like other general purpose, which is Ubuntu if you want to use Ubuntu. Normally, I would use Ubuntu server and build up from there. I already did a video on that, so you can go watch that if you want to know what I'm talking about. It would be the exact same way, even on your Raspberry Pi, even though we did that in a virtual machine. In this video, we're going to do specifically Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. Now, really quickly, okay, so the very first thing you're gonna need is this right here. This is a SanDisk, a micro SD card. I'm just gonna pop it open, get it up out of here, and we're gonna get it ready to install so we can use it. So once you have your micro SD card out the case, you're gonna need something like this. This is just a reader, so I can drop this in here. It reads and writes. This is from Anki. It gives you both sides, meaning you got USB-C as well as USB-A. We're gonna need this when we get over to our Pi. So I'm just gonna plug this in. All right, now it's plugged in. You can see on my computer, you can see this popped up. We're gonna just say allow accessory to connect. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say choose storage. We're gonna navigate to that general purpose. You can see this is 127 gigs. Highly recommend you get something that's up there. I'm gonna say next. All right, so first things first, what you wanna do is set your host name. You can see mine is Will Talk Tech. My username is Must Be Will. You're gonna put in your password. I set up my Wi-Fi already, so you have to know your Wi-Fi name as well as the password to set that part up. If you don't worry about it. We'll come to a part that'll allow you to do it. At that point, you just click on save. Once you click save, it's gonna say, would you like to apply OS customization settings? You're just gonna say yes. Say yes again. It's asking you, do you want to erase everything? Here, you're going to put in whatever your administrative password is. And once you do that, it'll begin. All right, so right now it's finishing up the verification process. It's already written it. Right now it's just finishing it up. And when it finished, you can see it says finalize it, and you get this right here. So once you see this, we can click continue and we can pull it out. Now that we safely have our operating system stored on our micro SD card, it's time for us to put together our Raspberry Pi. Okay, so this is the Raspberry Pi 5 that we're going to be putting together. It's 8 gigs of RAM. We have the case we're going to be using, which is a Neo 5. Again, everything will be linked up in the description below. And I'm going to be using this as my toolkit to put everything together. All right, so first things first, we can actually open this up and put it to the side. Now, when it comes to this, you do want to make sure you don't have any static or anything like that. Like I have a carpet, so I want to make sure that I'm not holding any static, because if I shock my board, then I could potentially ruin it. So this is the Raspberry Pi 5 right here. We have our USB-C. So the blue means 3.0, black means 2.0. We have our gigabit Ethernet. We have our PCIe connection, and then we have our micro. So this is micro HDMI 0, for whatever reason they call it 0, and then that's 1. We have our USB-C, and we have a few other connection ports on here. And we're going to be putting it inside of this case right here. Now, the reason why I decided to go with this case, because at this point I have a few cases. I wanted something sleek and minimal, but I also wanted it to have some protection. And I think this case checks the boxes. Not 100% sure, but I kind of feel like it does. So as you can see, this comes with a few components. You can see this is our fan right here. It's already built in, which is one of the reasons why I grabbed this, because it's an already built-in fan. I like that. Then you can see we have some, let's see, what is these? Probably screws and heatsink. Yep, we have screws and we have heatsink packs. Well, these are the feet, but these right here are heatsink. And these are the screws for it. Right here, we have our instructions. So we can see exactly what we're supposed to do. We can see that we have to connect it to the fan cable, to the fan. We can come over here, we can take a look at it, see where everything goes. And honestly, it's a straightforward process. So let's put it together. You can see right here, this is where it goes. This is where that fan go. So if I grab the tweezers, it's gonna go right here. So we can just take that off. All right, the fan gonna go right there. And we can match it up based on how it looks. We can literally look at this and see the design that it follows, and we can just slide it right in just the way it go. And we can push it down, give it a snug push just to make sure it's all the way in there. Easy peasy. Okay, so I'm gonna take this out right quick. I'm gonna slide this in first. Put that in the way it go. Once I have that in there, then I'm gonna drop this back in. I'm gonna follow that cable. All right, so once I got it sitting the way I want it, I'm just gonna give it a snug push downward. And that looks good to me. All right, so that goes like that. But before I do that, just wanna see. All right, cool, so that goes right there to cover up my micro SD cable, my micro USB, my micro USB. So what I wanna do, because before I start screwing stuff in, I just wanna make sure that this will actually fit on there. So we can flip this over, flip it upside down, and just want to make sure this will actually go in. All right, so it will go that way. Just takes a little finagling. Okay, I got the screw. This takes the 3.0. I like this because it's magnetized, so I can easily just drop it in. Then I could just screw it in slightly. And I could use this to pick up the screws because this is magnetized. So I really like that. I'm not going to screw it too tight because honestly, I don't know if I'm going to have to take it back off again. Oh, that's kind of cool. They gave me extra screws to put on. So just in case I lost a screw. So we're going to tighten them up now. Give them all a little twist. Now this right here, this goes right here. But honestly, I'm not 110% sure that I want to lock myself off from being able to access the SD card. I just don't know about that one. So for right now, I'm going to run mine like this, and I'm not going to worry about this. Then right here, we're able to drop that in. And they actually didn't give us extra screws. The other two screws go on here. So I'm going to just shift that over. And this is how it sits. So we'll definitely need a screwdriver to get into this. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. But since I don't plan on constantly going in and out of here, it should be okay. And I'm thinking this is going to be my demo build. So then we're going to drop this screw in here. Gonna give it a little tug. Give it a little tug. And that's it right there. We have our power button right here. And honestly, it's really that simple. The last thing, if you want to, we could take these and put the feet on so it's not moving around. It just fits in that little hole. So we're just gonna drop them in there. And there's 4 of them. They sticky. So now that works as like a little stopper. It won't slide around. So honestly, I like this. It's perfectly aligned. And yeah, let's turn it on and see what we got. All right, so I'm pretty sure at this point you noticed the only thing came in a box was the Raspberry Pi. We didn't get a power cable or any other peripherals to use with the Pi. So let me show you what I'm going to be using. All right, so we're going to put the Pi to the side. All right, so I'm going to be using the Raspberry Pi mouse and keyboard combo, mainly because if you look right here, I can plug my mouse right here. This piece right here goes right here, and I'm able to plug it into my Pi. So I can take this and plug this into a 2.0. I use a 2.0 here because honestly, I don't need it to be like, I don't need to waste one of my 3.0 ports. So I just plug it up like so. So that's the first thing I needed. So that's how I use it. It's easy peasy. And for this, the next thing I would normally use, okay, so normally I would tell you we need a power source, and this is the one I use. It's a 45-watt USB-C. But because I actually have the Ugreen 300-watt on my desk, I'm actually going to be using that instead of this. My monitor of choice is going to be this right here. This is an Asus monitor. Is honestly what I use when I'm on the go and I want to do some editing, but I want that extra real estate. This is what I use. So I'm going to actually take my Raspberry Pi. I have 2 HDMI cables. So the first HDMI cable is right here. I'm going to plug that up right here. I'm going to grab a power source again off my desk because I have the Ugreen. So I'm just going to use that to plug up my monitor. So my monitor is now plugged up. It is actually coming on. I'm going to grab the Raspberry Pi cable now because that takes a micro HDMI, which is this right here. So I'm going to make sure I plug it up in 0 to make sure I get image. And then after that, I'm going to Move some of these cables out the way, and I'm gonna just plug up the USB-C. Now my Pi should be coming on. I hear the fans coming on, and my Pi is coming on, as you can see. So right now it says welcome to the Pi. It's loading up. So we letting it do its thing. The Pi keep going off and coming back on. That's different. Never had one that did that before. I think I gotta change the power wattage. I don't think it's getting enough power. Oh, wait. No, it just popped on. But it is telling me this power supply is not compatible with 5 volt. So power to peripherals will be restricted. Okay, fair enough. So right now you can see that I'm already connected to my Wi-Fi. And this, honestly, this is the Raspberry Pi right here. Now we do have some things we can do. Like we can come over to the terminal and fix up a few things. Like we can update our packages and things like that. So we can just say sudo apt. Well, actually, let's just do it without this because you might not be into that. So we're going to go to preferences. We can see recommended software. And right now what it's doing is checking the software. So it's going to do any updates that need to be done. And you can see this is the recommended software right here. So we can install these if we want. If we don't want to, we don't have to. We can see Raspberry Pi 4K wallpaper. We can see Python IDE. So I don't really need that. Let's see, Raspberry Pi Connect. I'm cool with that. Firefox, Chromium. Honestly, I'm gonna use Brave, so I really don't need either one of those, but we can stick with it anyway. And we can say apply. So it's gonna remove it's removing the packages I'm assuming that we didn't use. And I guess it's gonna install the ones that we do. All right, say okay. We can come down Error Games, Chrome, Office. So I guess we can install this. But honestly, I really don't feel like I need it, but I guess I can download it just to show you how it works. Now, you should note I don't have any speakers connected to this. And the Raspberry Pi does not have a place for you to plug in a 3.5 millimeter head jack. So that means that you will have to have a speaker that you can use USB with, or even better, you'll just have to use Bluetooth. So again, the speed of your packages downloading is 100% dependent upon your internet connection. Since I don't have the best internet connection and I'm not giving it enough power, both of those are working against me right now. But all in all, this is a Raspberry Pi installed. I just want to make sure everything is up to date with my packages and things like that. And after that, I mean, we can call it on this video. All right, so we installing the packages now. I just want to run sudo apt update. So once it finishes installing, I'm gonna run that command, but right now I'm waiting on it to finish up the installation. Now, I guess you could say with this, I usually don't use the Raspberry Pi OS, but I'm using it in this case because honestly, I just want to test it out. But usually I default to Ubuntu just because if I need help or I'm stuck on something, it's just more all around help out there for me. Raspberry Pi OS has a ton of help too, so don't get me wrong. I just like Ubuntu better out the box. With this Raspberry Pi, we're going to be changing it up in this series. Right now, we're just getting started. So, awesome. Now we can come back over here. We have our text editor. So basically, over here, you have your program editor. You have Office, which is what we just installed. Our internet, we can go with Chromium or Firefox. Our sound is VLC media player. I like that because it plays everything. Our image viewer, this is our accessories. You can see Imager is automatically installed on all Raspberry Pis, at least on the newer ones, I should say. And the operating system is already there. You can see we have an archiver, calculator, document viewer, file manager. Our file manager is exactly what you would expect. It's like I don't want to use the word antiquated, but because we have so much customization here, it honestly really doesn't matter. So it's no point in taking any digs at it because we can always fix it. Down here, we can see what our free space is looking like. So we can see our free space is 105 gigs, total is 116.7. The operating system is using the rest of that. So I just want to run this quick command. I'm going to say enter. Right now, it's going out grabbing any packages, seeing if we have anything that needs to be updated. If it is, it's downloading and it's updating it for us. And you can see right now, that's what it's doing. And that command that I just ran, I'll run you through it really quickly. We can go back up. Sudo is just saying I have permissions because technically I must be wheel and not root. So if I tried to run it without sudo, it wouldn't work. apt is our package manager. So that's what I'm saying, okay, give me the correct package manager. And then we're telling that apt, which is our package manager, we're telling it to update itself so we can get the latest, greatest updates and software and things like that. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say concatenation, but it allows us to run two commands together. Then again, sudo, all that is the same. Then after that, we tell them to upgrade anything we need to upgrade. Now, I run another one, which is auto remove any packages that we're not using, but I'm not going to do that for right now because honestly, I'm not 100% sure it makes sense with Raspberry Pi. I usually do it on Ubuntu, which I'm sure it might work on here, but honestly, I'm not sure. But it's usually sudo apt get auto remove -y. And we can see it works on here as well, but it's 0 upgrade, 0 newly installed, and 0 to remove, and 0 not updated. So we can see that our system is honestly perfect. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna stop it right here. If you want to check out the internet, I guess we can double click on the internet just to show that we have it. I opened up too many windows. All right, there we go. There is no snapping on here. We're gonna be changing this up over time, but I think right here is a good place to stop because my SD card didn't run out. And yeah, you can see that we're connected to the internet. And if you didn't follow along when I connected in the settings, you can always come over here, say advanced options, or you can turn it off, turn it back on, and you can see whatever your internet provider is and click on it and connect that way. So that's all I got for you in this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. We now officially have a Raspberry Pi 5 set up and ready to go that we can play with. Now, honestly, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out like what's a project I can do with the Raspberry Pi that makes sense. But honestly, since I'm not really good at coding yet, I don't really want to talk about coding. So this project is going to be based around if we wanted to switch from whatever operating system we're on to a strictly Linux workflow. Now, personally, I'm not going to do that because honestly, I just spent goo gobs of money on my laptop a couple of months ago. So I'm not finna switch to Linux. As much as I love Linux, I'm not finna do that. But we are going to take a look at if we wanted to switch, what are some of the things that we will have to overcome, some of the obstacles as content creators, as people who work our day jobs. Is it realistic to be able to switch to Linux, or is it just hype online where we hear a lot of people talk about they switch? That's what we're going to be doing in this project. And yeah, I'm going to be looking at the different things that I need as far as, creative tools and things like that. And we're going to see if I'm able to switch. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next video. Till next time. Later.